my piece on wrath and purgatorio I labeled the black waltz toward ascension. Her mission is cited in this poem. There's a place outside of Ipswich, Queensland, where many of my people were rounded up and imprisoned so they could be assimilated and turned from savages to Christians. It was closed around the time of World War I, and our people were moved to Deeping Creek. Ironically, above the old mission is now a housing estate called Paradise Heights. I must begin by asking, what kind of hell is this? A devil and many engines are at work. A world I should belong but equally dismissed. With my dark being, lock it in, Eddie. I'm permitted to waltz Matilda when the dance hall still contain segregated ghosts. An unpleasant silence touched so clear and clean. I've never had to rush to identity my skin. This is Australia, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But I'm instantly judged and assumed by the coat of my kin. After this confession, lock it in, Eddie. Feel my skin, the colour doesn't rub off. Could you see my way to come a waltzing Matilda with me? You dream my gutted landscape, some billabong can still flush upon tides where bubble tastes rape. In my tucker bag lies an identity, not an alibi. Lock it in, Eddie. Am I black enough for the duration of this hell shaped into humanity? If you can watch my dark back, I'll waltz your back and we'll dance a Matilda with glee. Long before Al-Qaeda had cornered the black market on terror, Hemingway and T. Lawrence taught guerrilla warfare, and there exists no words to wane the arrow. For whom the bell tolls and while the fuss, lock it in, Eddie. No death is just, but murder is committed in the just of empires. It's a justice or just us. So many unknown soldiers had their lifeline cut, cameras turned off, and murder justified by royal commissions. And up jumped the troopers, covering each other's sins. 1, 2, 3. Safe as the black market on murder in this country, this living Purgatorio, the divine comedy on extrajudiciary whim. Will you come a waltzing Matilda with me? Please come a waltzing Matilda with me. Smoke on the slaughter. The mysterious smoke is rougher and darker than the darkest of hell or a moonless night. Dante, Purgatorio, Canto XB1. The wrathful came to my grandmother's country. When Uganda song lines weaved freely across the volcano-rich, thick-timbered soil. The mysterious smoke of the wrathful drove west from the sea. Midnight intruded upon the wake of my ancestors' hearts. First came Tinsdale's party led by rogue trackers, and then a plague, a pestilence shed by other tribes that ripped the Munanjali apart. Wrathful invaders deforested everything in their grasp. Neo-ghosts spoke a rogue tongue that praised the glory of an alien god. But from what cloaked wings did the introduced angels sing? The god of everything in his grasp was an entity indeed of wrath. Enter the missionaries and their erection of missions. My grandmother's dreaming was retitled Bow Desert, and our people subjects of a conquering king. Just to think of freedom was an act of sedition. Concentration camps flourished in order to humanize the murder. Some of my people forcibly removed to a so-called haven where pagans would be born again. And this staging area was aptly named Purga. South of Brisbane town, down Boaters Way, Mexicans of Munanjali we did become. But our hearts not conquered, our dream will stay through the fog of this war. Smoke resonates from the slaughter. The voice of an angel and the wing of a duck in Purga. On Purga mission were state and church appointed vigils with their lot, the wrathful and their raptures. Repent, all you pagans, you're listed in the black book of this God's plot. A desert did come to by desert, forests fell to build a kingdom north, a new Jerusalem, complete with magi, martyrs, and lamb. And only to the martyrs and lamb did the magi know the value of worth. They were jolly swagmen, refugees in this neo-paradise, who offered my aunties a waltzing Matilda. And then there were men who were simply conquering, taking without the foreplay of romance. Many songlines were paused and thought deleted. But survival our way, a survival a chance. From Purgatorio emerged the great tenor, Harold Blair. His voice, as pure as the trumpet Major Gabriel's blast. Free from Purgatorio, his freedom could not go past the uncompromising audience. From Purgatorio, the ascension, the difficult stairway to heaven. Uncle Harold's sin was that he sung to his own tune. No theatre of that era would bow to him easily. Another mission son, Uncle Eddie Gilbert. His bowling arm swung him out of Purgatorio, and only for a moment. He crucified the Don with a duckling, and the Don didn't want that in the history books. One ball, one kill, one shot from Purgatorio. It's back to the mission for you, Eddie. Locked in. Blow me over, Bradman. How does your ghost rest? This pen of mine is a bastardized invader's quill, rewriting history and purging lines. At my ancestors' bequest, I will be wrath. Men butchered and cleaned this colonial paradise. Women are still subjected to inferiority. Men go to war while battlefields are tended at home. Prairies kept fertile with a woman's touch. But if you're a single mother in this modern paradise, you're interned to Purgatorio. If you're a black single mother and gay in this modern paradise, you're assigned a seat to the business class of Purgatorio. And heaven help you if you're the female head of state in a male-dominated democratic paradise. You're assigned a seat in first class Purgatorio. If Dante is the epitome of man, then Beatrice should never have given him a second chance. Epilogue. How wrathful can we esteem to be? Just tattoo the constellation of the Southern Cross with my bowling arm. Aussie pride, Aussie pride, Aussie pride. With my dark complexion and bilingual tongue, it's hard for me to even whisper. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Just lock it in, Eddie. I'm not a racist, but a refugee of this Purgatorio, Australia today. I lost 2 uncles at Kokoda. I'll never be good enough to be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed avatar or a Bondi, dinky-dyed bloke. I don't even understand AFL. But I hold a photograph of Uncle Ricky Wingmar close to my heart. So thank you. That was my take on wrath with these other great writers. Of course, Emily Ballou wrote about Morning Court, John Clark, an Australia Council meeting. There was some all the responses to the deadly sins were quite brilliant. And as I've mentioned within that poem, on Purgatorio there were many great Indigenous people that they took their skills. Uncle Harold Blair, the great tanner, Uncle Eddie Gilbert, who bowled out Sir Donald Bradman, because of their Aboriginality, they were sent back to government institutions. They were never allowed to go into the world and really make their mark. But it was a different time. It was an incredibly brutal time. You have to look at when Dante was born, when he lived, the brutalness of the Dark Ages. To my people who were moved onto a mission and then given this new God to pray to, and to suddenly they were taught that about this hell they would go to. So they didn't give their hearts to Jesus. To be condemned for not believing in this new God, it was a very big deal for a lot of my people. And I was the last Sam Watson in my family to be born under a government act. I was very lucky that Gough Whitlam and many other Australians from the mainstream voted that my people should have the right to be involved in the democratic process. I became a citizen in my own country. So this was my experience with Dante. And as I mentioned before, to have a bucket list is any writer's dream. For me to work on something related to Dante and work with the actor John Clark. It was such a great opportunity.